Welcome back to the Arise interview, where we speak to the newsmakers as well as ordinary people doing extraordinary things around the world and featuring the voices at the heart of the stories. I'm Charles Aniagolu. So, yet another flashpoint and area of conflict in Nigeria, this time in the southeastern state of Imo, close to the oil-producing Niger Delta region. The governor there, Hope Uzodinma, has imposed a curfew in the city of Orlu and the surrounding districts after clashes erupted between Nigerian soldiers and a local militia group known as the Eastern Security Network, or ESN, and following reports that 4 people had been shot dead. Now, you may know that the southeast region has long been a hotbed for the separatist group, the Indigenous People of Biafra, or IPOB, and simmering tensions between Nigeria's federal security forces and the indigenous population have been very high recently.
Of a group of militants who unleashed a shooting spree in the Orlu area of the state, killing and maiming innocent citizens in the process. I'm totally appalled by this sad report, which appears to paint a picture of near breakdown of law and order in the Orlu area of the state. The government condemns in its entirety this act of extreme hooliganism and brigandage. This is completely unacceptable to this administration. Those behind this callous barbarism will surely regret their action.
And that's the governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodinma there. Well, for more on what's going on in Imo State, I'm joined now from the state capital, Owerri, by the policy analyst and former special assistant to the ex-governor of Imo State, AIC Akwarandu. And with me in the studio here, the lawyer, public affairs analyst and columnist for the Sun newspaper and the new Telegraph weekly, Clement Aguiyi. Thank you very much indeed to both of you for coming in. And let me come to you first, AIC Akwarandu. Thank you for joining us. Lots of very disturbing footage on social media of what is going on in Imo State. Those sort of IPOB militia, which is pretty much what they are, and government forces in action. I mean, paint a picture for us of what is going on in the city of Orlu and the surrounding districts there.
Thank you. Thank you, my brother. Thank you for your time. What's happening in Imo State, in Orlu to be specific, it's actually a very terrible situation. And I want to say that what is playing out here is clearly a breakdown of leadership in the state. Because I am saying this from the point of view that if we have a leadership that is proactive, a leadership that is more concerned about the people, I can assure you that what has happened here in the past few days won't have got to that extent. But we have a situation whereby even those who should let us know what is happening in the state, even those who should have the necessary intelligence to act on what is happening in the state, are entirely oblivious of the true situation of things that is happening in the state. And I can tell you that most people are getting acquainted with what is happening in Imo through what they are seeing on social media.
Okay, Mr. Akwarandu, I don't mean to interrupt you there. I don't want to turn this into a political thing. What I want to know, first of all, is what is going on in the state.
Okay,
because from what we're hearing, a group of armed men attacked a Muslim northern community in Orlu, and in the course of the attack, 4 people were killed, and all of this led to a large contingent of troops coming in. Tell us about that.
Coming to that, you see a situation, because the major area where this is happening is around the Okporo in Orlu and Omotanze. both communities located in Orlu local government area of the state. And it has been reported that some members of the Eastern Security Network and the military engaged in this area, and that's led to chaos. Well, we find out that beyond this issue, the innocent citizens of Orlu are the people at the receiving end of this whole thing. Because for the past few days, market women have not been able to go to their markets. Ordinary people have not been able to come out to do their businesses. In fact, the whole street has been militarized and the whole place is almost like a war situation. So the people in Orlu at this moment are almost in a warlike situation. And that has been the situation of this. And the way you said I shouldn't make it political, but it's also important to let you know that as of today, no government official has been able to visit this place to look at what is happening and to give the people the confidence that yes, they are with them and they are in control of what is happening. Because I know that it is the duty of the government to make sure that the people have the confidence they deserve. And that we also give even the military and the people the encouragement to know that, okay, what is happening is being handled. But as we speak today, none has happened apart from the press release by the state government, which happened a few days ago by the governor.
Okay, well, I think you're absolutely right there. I mean, there needs to be, I mean, I can't speak about that because I don't know if the governor has sent people or not, but in any case, you're right to the extent that there needs to be a visible presence of the government to show that they are in charge. And let me bring you in, Clement Aguiyi, looking at the backstory here, that region of the southeast, and I'm not sort of talking about it as some foreign place, but the region has separatist militia groups, the most prominent being the Independent Peoples of Biafra, or IPOB, isn't it? Tell us a bit about the configuration and what the Eastern Security Network is and how it's related to all that.
Thank you, Charles. I think this is not really the time to be partisan in looking at the situation, because the situation in Orlu area and the entire southeast is quite precarious and very unfortunate situation going on there. We have gone through a civil war not less than 50-something years ago, and I don't think we are in a position to allow our backyard to be another theater of war. What is going on there requires caution,
absolutely,
exercise of caution, and also making sure that innocent civilians are not caught up in harm's way. The state have a responsibility actually to make sure that they preserve the security and safety of innocent civilians in the conflict. Now, for over some time now, there have been a lot of agitations in the southeast. We have had Masov, we have had Morbin, we have IPOB, and they are all agitating for a separatist state of Biafra. All this boils down to the fact that there are fundamental problems the Igbos perceive in Nigeria of being marginalized, of being subdued, of not having the chance to meet the aspiration. They have to break the glass ceiling to get to the top and excluded from the government. And this kind of worsened during the present administration, whereby if you look at the nature of appointment going on, the Igbo begin to ask themselves, where are we in all this? We're not even on the conference table, not to talk of what is on the plate for us. So there are these agitations going on. And some people have taken advantage of that, to exploit the emotion and the sentiment of the people in now escalating the whole issue. So that is where IPOB come to play. And fortunately and unfortunately, rightly or wrongly, the federal government labeled IPOB a terrorist organization, which made it to go underground and makes it a little bit difficult for elites now to identify with the group or to even engage the group, okay? Now we have the issue of the Fulani herdsmen, or the herdsmen militias that has been attacking people, killing people, raping women, making people go into the farm dangerous for them. And this has been a situation all over the country, both in the southwest, in the south, it has been there. And you know, the southwest created Amotekun. The governors of the southwest region created Amotekun to take care of their security situation. To the youth in the southeast, they felt there was a kind of food dragging in creating an umbrella organization.
So they created their own.
So they created their own.
Right.
The question is now, what right do you have as a private citizen to create your own private army? But you see, the people that wanted security to go to their farms are happy that somebody said, I'm creating something for you. And they're not thinking further off than that. After this whole thing, are they going to continue to be a messiah?
Right.
Or are they going to blossom into a monster, a Frankenstein monster?
Absolutely, which is always the problem, isn't it?
Yeah, always the problem.
Yeah.
So the Eastern Security Network cannot be divorced from IPOB.
Right.
Because IPOB actually created the Eastern Security Network.
Okay, let me bring in AIC Akwarandu. Thank you for your patience and for staying with us. You're there in Owerri, which is the capital of Imo State, where these clashes are taking place. Has this latest incident been officially linked to that separatist agitation, or is it related to some other festering conflict?
Like I said earlier, one of the problems we are facing is misinformation. When you don't have the right information, people tend to believe the part of the story that suits what they want. And this is where the government comes in at all levels. It is the duty of the government to let the people know about the true situation of things, stage by stage, and the efforts they are making to return normalcy in the land. That is the duty of the government. And this role of the government has not been done. And that has created a lot of misinformation in the society. That, as I tell you today, most people in the state do not know the exact situation and the true story of what is happening. Because when a statement was read by our governor some days ago, he tagged the groups that are operating in the place militants. And militants don't just grow up in a day. Before now, there have never been cases of this type of violence either in Orlu or anywhere around Imo State. So tagging them militants, does it mean that there have been a resistance before? So I think the government would have done more to let the people know the progression of this militancy that they have tagged these people. So the people can be abreast with what is happening. Because when you look at it, at the end of everything, the ordinary people are the people at the receiving end of the whole thing. Because they've been deprived. If you watch the videos on social media today, you will see where people are being flogged. You will see where people are being harassed. And these things are actually the things that are making people very angry. Because when people watch these things, they relate it to what is happening at home, and that has fueled agitation. As at today, we have had a lot of groups ranging from Orlu's Rume, Orlu Youth Association, and various youth groups and bodies coming out to say, withdraw the military from the streets of Orlu. And that is because they have turned their activities from securing the place into harassing of innocent citizens. And that is not the right thing to do. So it's important the government give us a progress report of what is happening and what they are doing to make sure that normalcy returns.
Okay,
So that
well, I mean,
can go back to...
Right, I understand the points you're making, Mr. Akwarandu there, but just in fairness, in all fairness, which is what we try to do, the governor himself is probably also trying to get his head around what is going on. I mean, when somewhere has been turned into a theater of war, and you've got two sides with conflicting stories, it takes a while, usually maybe an inquiry even, before you get all the different sides and you can, you know, conclusively say that this is what happened and this is what needs to be done to rectify it. So to that extent, I mean, he's taken the first action, which is to impose a curfew. But don't go away. Stay with us. We'd like to talk with you some more. You're watching the Arise interview. Plenty more still ahead as we continue our chat about the clashes in Nigeria's southeast Imo State between federal troops and local militias. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Arise interview. I'm Charles Aniegolu, and the spotlight is on the mosaic of instability that Nigeria has become. The latest flashpoint, southeastern Imo State. A curfew is in place there following skirmishes that escalated in the last day or so to a violent confrontation between Nigerian government forces and local militias in the city of Orlu and the surrounding districts. At least 4 people are reported to have been shot dead, and we're trying to understand how dangerous these clashes are and whether they are connected to the separatist agitations that have plagued the region for years. And with me from the Imo State capital, Owerri, the policy analyst and former special assistant to the ex-governor of Imo State, AIC Akwarandu. And with me here in the studio, the lawyer, public affairs analyst and columnist for the Sun newspaper and the new Telegraph weekly, Clement Aguiyi. Gentlemen, thank you for staying with us. And let me come to you, Clement. We had the governor of Imo State there imposing a curfew, and of course we heard that President Buhari has sacked all the military chiefs and replaced them with a new lot. What impact are those measures likely to have on the security situation there in the southeast?
Yeah, I think the governor have taken the right step way into the situation by imposing curfew. And I will advise the people out there in Orlu to obey the curfew, because the essence of the curfew is to get innocent civilians off the streets so that the military who are engaged in these skirmishes with the militia be able to sort the situation out. And I think the situation is being sorted out. That's why I'm a little bit surprised when somebody said he doesn't know what the government is doing, the governor has not gone there. You don't expect the governor to go into the war front. It's like a war front. He said here that the whole place is like a war zone. What do you want the governor to do? Rush into the war zone? Let the military sort out the issue, and they're sorting it out. What we are interested in, and what the government is interested in, is to make sure that civilians are out of the harm's way. And that is why the curfew has been imposed. And it is in the interest of the civilians of there to respect and obey that curfew. I was practically in Orlu when this thing started, because I'm going to pay condolence to one of my old schoolmates and in-law who died, and I was there. And when this whole thing started, it was like something out of the movie, after the movie. You saw some young men masked up in pickup trucks, SUVs, and Sienna buses, many of them, and all armed. When I mean armed with all kinds of weapons, and they were running the street, patrolling the street. Afterwards, you begin to hear staccato of gunfire. A little while from afar and getting very close to you. And then you saw military trucks. That
must be quite frightening.
Yeah, very frightening. So, just like things you see in Mali and Somalia kind of neighborhood.
Or in the northeastern.
Or in the well, you know, it's part of the country. It was like a theater of war. And these young men, we are practically engaging the military in
combat.
In combat situation. And the question is, how did this number of arms get into the hands of these young men? And again, how was this young man recruited and trained to handle this kind of secret weapons? That is where I think our intelligence, military intelligence, failed us. Because I don't know where the government was, what the government was doing, and why they're looking at for those number of arms to get into the country. We have a situation in the northeast, which we can't control, and you allow this kind of arms to come into the southeast, and you're having this number of young men who are heavily armed with weapons, and depending on who you ask, that some people you ask, they will tell you that the revolution has started.
Right, but in fairness to AIC Akwarandu, who is in Owerri, I mean, it is to some extent, to a large extent, the responsibility of the governor of the state as the chief security officer to have a sense of what is going on in his state, because the points you're making are very important points. I mean, how did that great number of weapons, flood the state, basically, to the extent that these youths can actually wage what appears to be, conflict, war against the Nigerian army. But let me bring you in, AIC Akwarandu in Owerri there. For now, as at just before 5 p.m. Nigerian time on Wednesday. What do you know about what is happening in Orlu now? Are there still gunshots being heard in that area? People were talking about sporadic shooting and all that.
Let me say also that earlier in my remarks, I mentioned that it is the duty of the government to gather intelligence, because that is part of their assignment, to know about, to see before the people on certain things that are yet to happen even before they happen. On the question you asked, as of today, Imo people are left with most of the items they see on social media. And I tell you, whether some of them are true or some of them are wrong is what most people can't actually say. That is where the government comes in also. In a war situation like this, in a situation of civil unrest like this, there should be timely updates of what is happening so that people can know what is happening. You see videos of where people are being flogged. The curfew, to my understanding, starts from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. So what it means is that once it's 6 p.m., people are advised to stop moving around the streets till the next day, 6 a.m. So this means that people can also move around in the daytime. But what we see is that people are being embarrassed at, there's one video I saw is in a location, Banana Junction. People are being embarrassed, and you can't fight this battle like that. There needs to be a civil approach where community leaders will be engaged. The traditional rulers should be engaged. The relevant leaders, stakeholders of the area should be engaged so that a lasting solution can be found to this situation. You cannot give it back to them, because in fairness, the people that are doing this thing are not even on the streets. The people that are doing this thing are not even the people that are being embarrassed on these videos we are seeing. These are innocent citizens, and they are my major concern. I believe that they should be treated fairly. Even if they come out in the wrong hours, they should be treated fairly, because this is not a planned situation. It's something that came to all of us of a sudden. And both the security agencies must also show compassion to the people, to understand that people did not plan for what is happening today. So they must work with them to make sure that these culprits are fished out and normalcy is brought to the land and people go back to their normal businesses without delay.
Okay, let me bring you in, Clement Aguiyi, because I mean, we were under the impression that the separatist IPOB movement in the southeast had been contained, and that the separatist agitation in that region of Nigeria had calmed down somewhat. Is that still the case, or has it continued to smolder and just takes a little spark to turn it into a big fire?
Exactly what you said. There was no time the agitation was wiped out completely. The agitation is still there, because the government of the day didn't address the agitation of the people. Those fundamental issues, those fundamental problems are still there. The mistake the government made was to, in a hurry and out of hate and anger, label IPOB a terrorist organization.
And when you say government, you're talking about the federal?
I'm talking about the federal government.
Right.
To label IPOB as a terrorist organization. And that made them to go under. And that made it impossible and difficult for elites, traditional rulers, who ordinarily should engage these boys, to engage them, so that at least we can find a middle ground. Because there must be a precarious balance in this whole situation. As I speak to you, most elites in the southeast, most political leaders are very frightened to speak. They're afraid of IPOB. They're afraid of offending IPOB. They're afraid of offending the federal government. And IPOB themselves have a lot of contempt and disdain for the political leaders, for the elites. As far as they're concerned, the elites have sold out and betrayed the people. They are now the new champions. But this shouldn't be the situation. We must find a precarious balance. We can engage each other, converse with each other, find a middle course, knowing fully well that armed conflict, as we're having it today, will not solve the situation.
Okay.
It will rather worsen our situation.
On that note, I want to thank you very much indeed, Clement Aguiyi, who's a lawyer, public affairs analyst and columnist for the Sun newspaper and the New Telegraph Weekly, and also AIC Akwarandu, who's joined us from Imo State there. He's a policy analyst and former special assistant to the ex-governor of Imo State, Emeka Ihedioha. That's it for this edition of the Arise interview. Join us again tomorrow from me and the entire team here in Abuja and Owerri. Bye-bye, and thank you for watching.